So we're going to start this class in a Supta Baddha Konasana. So if you've got blocks and you know that Supta Baddha Konasana is somewhat uncomfortable for you, you can have the blocks of support. Also, if Supta Baddha Konasana is just not in your practice today, then feel free to take an opposite shape, which would be on your back, but having your feet a little bit wider and knees knocked in toward each other. However, if you're moving with me, soles of feet together, knees out wide, and you might want to press your hands to the mat and your shoulder blades down, lifting up your hips and sliding down so that your sacrum is a little bit flatter on the mat, only if that is comfortable for your anatomy. Everybody's a little bit different, so feel your way through. And my challenge to you here is to let the feeling be the guide here, not so much what you think is supposed to be the right pose. I want you to be safe, and I want you to be mindful of your anatomy, but I want you to focus a bit more on how you feel through the postures and have a little bit less care about an external opinion or an external evaluation. This is only for you. So in your Supta Baddha Konasana, if you've chosen the Swan variation, you may also choose to place one hand on your belly, lower part of your belly, maybe one hand on your heart. And again, allow yourself to choose what feels best. Now, what you think might be the right choice as evaluated by someone else. If it is comfortable for your eyes to become closed, then allow your eyes to close. If that's a bit too vulnerable, then keep your eyes open. And breathe in a little bit more breath, feeling the air as though you go down all the way down. If your hand is on your belly, like you lift up your hand. And your exhale is taking a reverse path. Finding softness through your inner thighs, relaxing down and through your cheeks, and even relaxation through the back of your neck. And if the intention and dedication of allowing yourself to feel, to witness and respond to that, then allow that to be your guide in this class. And if that does not speak to you, then I invite you to find another dedication that does. And then let's take several breaths together as community as we solidify these dedications and honor those in our community. Take a deep breath in, feel it. Exhale. Another deep inhalation. And release it. And then once more for yourself. If your knees are wide, take your hands to the backs of your thighs, bring your knees up toward each other. And then pull your knees in towards your chest. Take your hands to the tops of your shins, rock a little bit from side to side first. And then start to pull your knees more towards your armpits and maybe even toes to touch. So it's a little bit like you are lying on your back, but in a child's pose. Bring your knees a little bit closer toward each other once again. We're going to come to a seated posture. So if it's more comfortable to come to your side and press up, please do that. And if you're looking for just a little more activity and maybe a massage through your back, that feels good too. Rock up and down the length of your spine. And then come to a Sukasana Pose. Place the opposite leg in front, so the one that feels a little bit awkward. If you already know that trick, then you might be already where you need to be. And you're going to come all the way forward, reaching your arms out in front of you, perhaps palms up, and let your head drift down. So you might come to a place where this feels not quite comfortable. So notice the difference between discomfort and like it being sensation or something being pain. If this does not feel good against your upper back, mid back, or neck, and not just that it's stretching, but that there's something going on here, then stack your fists and place it underneath your forehead or press into your hands into the mat to lift up a bit. Otherwise, see if you can surrender down, let gravity do work here. Notice if maybe you can just shift your arms the tiniest bit out further. And then keeping your head heavy, flip your palms down, start to press your way back up. So you're gonna roll your way up to sitting, and eventually your head will be the last thing that lifts up. On an inhale, bring your arms out and up, send your chin upward so your gaze goes up towards your thumbs. On an exhale, you're gonna twist to your left, not mirroring you, right hand to your left thigh, left fingertips behind you. We're gonna stay in this posture for just a couple breaths. So make sure you shift your weight a little bit over to your right hip so it's not just fully on the left. Draw your left shoulder back as you twist. You can use your hands to help you just twist a little bit more. And see if you can take the twist not just through that belly area and your low back, but really starting to shift your left shoulder to the left. And so drawing your shoulder blades together and maybe sending your chin so it's pointing over your left shoulder. Again, notice what you're feeling. And if my cues are just not quite working for you, maybe you can find something else that does work better for you. Take your chin back towards the front. Unravel, inhale, arms lift up. See if you can feel what's going on the right side of your body and your left. And then on an exhale, twist to the opposite side. Again, shift weight a little bit to the left hip so you're not leaning all the way. Right shoulder draws back, low belly in. Left shoulder blade is reaching toward the right. Sending your chin over to the right. Long, slow breath. And your head comes back towards the front. Inhale, arms lift up, send your gaze up towards your thumbs. And then on an exhale, bring your thumbs to your heart center. Bring your chin down towards your chest. Hands to your thighs. Lift up your head. And then roll over onto your hands and knees for a tabletop pose. Place a little bit of weight into your left palm. Reach your right arm out to the side. We're going to thread the needle. Take your right arm underneath you. Come onto your right shoulder. So there's a couple things you can do here, and I'm just going to let you choose your own adventure for what you like best. You can keep your left arm where it is. You can lift it up, and then you can twist it around you, twisting it shoulder, elbow, wrist, and draping your left hand, back of palm, behind your back, or maybe drifting all the way around. Or you could take an extension with your left arm, or take it over to the right. Pick what is going to provide you with something that you feel that you're responding to. Maybe it's something that you typically do. You want to feel into it in a different way, or maybe it's something different. Begin to walk your left hand back underneath your left shoulder. Press down to left palm. Put your right fingertips all the way up to the ceiling this time. Look up towards your right thumb maybe. And your left inner elbow is going to wrap out, so it's pointing towards the front of your yoga mat. On an exhale, place your right hand down, shift the weight to that right hand, left arm goes out to the left, and then left arm comes underneath you, thread the needle, come onto your left shoulder. And then I invite you to take the same shape with your right hand, with your right arm, that you did on the other side. And if that means you did a little bit of exploring on the first side, perhaps you explore a little bit on this side as well. Start to place that hand back to where you began. And then you're going to unravel, left fingertips come all the way up, look up towards your left thumb, really stretch. And then exhale, take your left hand down toward the mat. On a Hattasana pose, puppy dog, take your hands out towards the corner of your mat. So you want to make sure that your hips are over your knees. Reach your arms out wide, inner elbows up, and then start to drop your your chest, that is, down toward the mat. Not worrying so much about what you think someone else might think. Take yourself into the feeling of the pose. So maybe that means you take your hands wider or closer together. And then as you're ready, start to lift yourself back up. Walk your hands back underneath you to the tabletop. Tuck your toes behind you. Send your hips way, way, way back to your heels. Reach your arms out in front of you. Inner elbows are up. Drop your head. And then start to straighten your legs, downward facing dog. Maybe you walk your dog, take a little bit of movement. Just notice what you tend to do and what you're choosing to do right now. Bend your knees deeply, look towards the top of your mat, and on an exhale, step all the way to the top of your mat for a forward fold. On an inhale, lift up halfway, send your gaze forward, fingertips either connecting with the mat or your shins or even your thighs. Exhale, forward fold. Take your peace fingers to your big toes. Make sure your feet are about hips width distance apart for this version. Thumb to the top of the big toenails. Inhale, lift up halfway again. You may need to bend your knees in order to make this happen. And then exhale, start to bring your chest down towards your thighs. You might find that your elbows need to go out. Make sure that your shoulders is still working away from your ears. Start to send your hips up. Notice if all your weight went into your heels. If so, shift it forward here. And then for a little bit extra zhuzh, you're pressing your feet down and out away from each other. You might be able to feel some activity in your outer upper thighs and hips. See if that can help you get a little bit closer to your thighs. Inhale, lift up halfway once again, and release your feet. Exhale, fold more gently, ragdoll pose. Take a clasp with your hands if you'd like. And maybe if this suits you, again, this is up to how you feel. Interlace your fingertips and tuck them around the base of your skull and let your elbows drift down toward the mat, a little added weight. And then release your fingertips down to the mat. Keep your knees bent pretty deeply. Left hand directly below your face. Maybe you take a block to make the earth a little bit closer to you. Peel your right fingertips up toward the ceiling. Send your gaze up towards your right thumb. Really press the earth away with your left hand. Maybe your right leg becomes a little bit straighter. Exhale, come back to center. Right hand directly below your face to the mat. Peel your left fingertips up. Look up towards your left thumb. Left shoulder works away from you. Maybe straighten or get straighter with your left leg. And then exhale, forward fold. Once again, halfway lift. Exhale, fold very deeply. Reverse swan dive, take your arms out and up, send your gaze upward, chin is lifted. And on an exhale, take your hands to your heart center. And then alongside your body, into Hattasana, take 3 breaths here. On an inhale, arms lift up, send your chin up. Exhale, forward fold. Release your hands. Inhale, halfway lift, offer your heart. And exhale to honor yourself. Step back to the top of your plank pose. And then on an exhale through Chaturanga, or halfway or down all the way to your mat. Untuck your toes. Inhale for Cobra or upward facing dog. And on an exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, lift your right leg up toward the ceiling. Bend your knee, open up through your hips. Really point your right knee up toward the ceiling, very high. Then re-straighten your leg to that tripod. On an exhale, pull your knee to your nose, place your foot between your hands towards your right thumb. We're gonna do a couple hip dips here. So if you want to use your blocks, bring them in closer to you. And if you don't want to use blocks, just come up on spider fingers, just so you've got a little bit of more distance between your hands and the mat. So on an inhale, drop your back knee, reach your heart forward, drop your hips, shoulder blades back, look up. Exhale, lift up and back. Modified pyramid pose, right hip draws back, reach your chin towards your shin. Again, inhale, bend the back knee, drop your hips, reach your heart forward, find Cobra here, gaze up. Exhale, lift it up and back, modified pyramid. One more time like this. Inhale takes you forward. Exhale draws you back. We're gonna stay here in the modified pyramid for 3 breaths. Make them long and strong, and maybe even scissor your thighs together even more. Lift up about halfway, and then rebend into that front knee. Set your blocks to the side if you use them. More weight to your left palm, peel your right fingertips up toward the ceiling, and then spin all your toes away from you. So you're on the razor edge of left foot. Lift your hips high, IT band stretch. Make sure the inner elbow of your left arm is pointing towards the front of your mat. Send your gaze back down to the mat. Pivot everything back all the way. Take your right hand down. Hover your fingertips away from the mat and then lift all the way up for your first high crescent lunge. On an exhale, sweep your arms back, palms down, lean forward. See if you can keep from, even if your belly is touching your thigh, from resting. You're still using the strength of your leg. Inhale, come up, arms lift. Again, exhale, sweep the arms back, lean forward. Right hip is still drawing back. Inhale, lift up. Third time, exhale. And then release your hands down to the mat. Step back to downward facing dog. Recognize the way that the right side of your body feels compared to the left. And then on an inhale, left leg comes up and back, bend your knee, open up your hips, point the knee up toward the ceiling. Make sure your left shoulder is dropped just a little bit so it's more in line with the right. And then re-straighten the left leg for the tripod dog. On an exhale, bring your knee to your nose, place your foot between your hands toward left thumb. If you use blocks on one side, draw them in close to you again, or just come up onto spider fingers. We're going to take those hip dips 3 times again. Inhale, drop your back knee, reach your hips down, heart forward, gaze up. Exhale, up and back. Left hip draws back, modified pyramid pose. Inhale, release down, open up your heart. Exhale, take it up and back, chin toward chin. And again, inhale, take it down. Exhale to release. And we'll stay here, modified pyramid, 3 more breaths. Lift up about halfway at the end of your third exhale. Bend into the left knee, set the blocks to the side if you use them. Place more weight to your right palm. Peel your left fingertips up for the ceiling, low lunge twist. And then we're going to move to the IT dance stretch. Spin all your toes away from you. Lift your hips high. See if you can still keep your right heel down to the mat. A lot of times it tries to lift up and away. See if you can make a connection here. Send your gaze back down to the mat. Spin all your toes back to front. Take your left hand down. Make sure you've got stability because we're going to shake it up. Hover your fingertips away from your mat. Lift up. High crescent lunge. Sit low. And then as you're ready, on an exhale, sweep your chest forward. Reach your arms back. Palms down. Long straight line. Inhale, come up. Exhale. Reach your heart forward as your left hip draws back. Find all the strength you can. Really press weight to the back foot. Inhale, come up. Exhale. Sweep your arms back, lean forward, and then place both hands down to the mat. Step back to your downward facing dog. If you'd like to take a vinyasa, that option is there for you. When you're ready, on an inhale, lift your right leg up toward the ceiling, create lots of space, and on an exhale, place your foot between your hands towards your right thumb. Angle your left foot down, and when you're ready, unravel to warrior 2. Sit low, first time to take warrior on this side. And one thing to remember is just pull your left shoulder back a little bit so that your shoulders are parallel to the long side of your mat. This is going to create a little bit of a twist in your torso. Straighten your front leg, turn your right toes in, and then heels in slightly, sit low, goddess pose. So you might have your knees a little bit more over toward your ankles here. Bring your low belly in, sit lower. All right, straighten both legs. Make sure your left toes go out. Widen your right foot out. We're going to take warrior 2 to the left side. Inner elbows point up. Roll your shoulders away from your ears. Look towards your left middle finger and then beyond. All right, straighten the left leg. Turn both toes in. Turn both heels in. Goddess pose again. Remember, reaching out to the insides of your thighs, shoulders back. Knit in your ribs. Find your power here. Find your feeling. And then as you're ready, begin to straighten your legs. Take warrior 2 towards the right, once again, where we began. Take your left hand to your left hip. We're going to tick-tock forward to that half moon pose, Artachendrasana. So in a way to do this, if you're looking to take one launch, come up onto your left toes first, reach with your right fingertips. We did a lot of this reaching before, so you're gonna put it into action. And then move forward on an exhale, maybe even make like a little sound and feeling as you move forward. So you can engage, your right fingertips will come down, your left leg eventually will lift up. Stack your left shoulder over your right, and if you'd like, lift up your left fingertips. All right, things are gonna get fun. Little bend through your right knee, reach back with your left leg, come back to your warrior two. Yeah. And then let's do it once more. Reach forward, launch up to your Artachendrasana. Always an option to use the block if you'd like to. And then in your time as you're ready, bending through the right knee, send your left foot all the way back, warrior two. On an exhale, cartwheel towards the front of your mat so that you're in a low lunge. Place more weight to your left palm, put your right fingertips up toward the ceiling, low lunge twist, option to stay right here or move to that IT band stretch. And then take your right hand back down, coming back to the low lunge. Step your right foot all the way back, downward facing dog. You can take a vinyasa if it suits you between sides, or simply stay in this downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. On an inhale, left leg comes up and back, long, straight, strong. Exhale, place your foot between your hands. Angle your right foot down like warrior two, and then when you're ready, unravel. Come to your warrior two. Not really the first time on this side, but first time on this side of the sequence. Straighten the left leg, turn the left toes in, and then turn both heels in, goddess pose, sit low. Notice if your ribs are starting to jut out, bring them in so you can sit even lower, reaching out the insides of your knees, fingertips strong. Okay, straighten both legs, turn your right toes out, and then turn your left heel in slightly, warrior two, towards the back of your mat. Straighten that front leg, turn your gaze to the long side of the mat, toes in, heels in, sit low, goddess pose. Once again, maybe sit a little bit further. What do you feel? And then straighten both legs. Left toes point out, and then walk back the right leg, warrior two once again. And then from here, we're going to take our little dance, our little pivot from here to Artachendrasana. See if you can find that dance, find that feeling, and notice the places in between the postures. So again, on your exhale, you're going to lean forward. Your left hand comes down to a block or a mat. It's going to be beyond your left pinky toe, right fingertips up to the ceiling if you'd like, or you can always keep them towards your right hip. Activity through your right toes, whether your foot is pointed, flexed. And then when you're ready, little bend to your left knee, stand your right foot all the way back to your warrior two, get low, and then shake it up again when you're ready. Launch forward, Artachendrasana, half moon pose. And then again, little bend to your left knee, move when it's right for you, stand all the way back, warrior two. And then on an exhale, cartwheel down to the top of your mat, pivot onto the ball of your back foot, you're in a low lunge. More weight to right palm, left fingertips come up, low lunge twist. Option to move into the IT band stretch if you like. And then on an exhale, take your left hand down to the mat. Step your left foot back to meet your right, press up to downward facing dog or take a vinyasa. We're going to take that same little bit of a sequence and we're going to add on to it. So of course, if you ever want to move ahead or behind, you know where you're going. This is about you feeling through your postures, feeling through your experience, finding your yoga, and honoring Svadhisthana. Inhale, right leg comes up and back. On an exhale, place between your hands. Warrior two as you're ready. Straighten the front leg, turn your toes in, heels in, goddess pose, sit low. Straighten your legs, turn left toes out, Walk the right foot back, warrior two to the left, sit low. Come back up, goddess pose once again. And then back to warrior two to the right. 2 times, you're gonna move from your warrior two to your Artachendrasana and back. Move as you're ready. Once you return back to the not half moon, I'm sorry, the warrior two once again, you're going to sweep your left arm towards the front of the room, put it onto the ball of your back foot, so you're in a high lunge. You're going to sweep your hands forward, hands down to the mat, lift up your left leg, so it's a supported warrior three. You can either drag your foot along, or you can just pop straight up, long through the right thigh. Reach your chest forward. You can always take your fingertips to blocks if you'd like. And then fun stuff here, start to bend through your right knee. You're gonna come up to standing, pulling your left knee up so that your thigh is parallel with the mat. Maybe your foot needs to tap down for balance, or perhaps it stays just as it is. Take your hands to your hips. Make sure your hips are level and you don't have your left hip hiked up so much. Option is stay here. Next option, take your left hand, peace fingers, and then wrap them around your left big toe, pulling your left knee up. So kind of like when you're on our backs, we had our knee up and it was more toward the outside instead of to the center. Bus stop here. Or if you'd like, begin to extend your left leg out in front of you. Does not have to become straight. And if you come this far, why not? Rotate your left thigh upwards slightly. So you rotate it and then bring your entire leg out to the left. And then if you're like, I need more sass in my life, is what I'm feeling, send your gaze beyond your right shoulder. And then whichever option you've taken, wherever you ended up, begin your rewinding back through every step and eventually stand down. Maybe shift the weight over to the left leg for a moment. That'll happen on the right leg and then come back. Come into Samasthiti, hands at heart center. Take a scan of your body. If it helps for your eyes to be closed, then close your eyes. Can you feel your heart beating into your thumbs? On an inhale, lift your fingertips up, send your chin upward. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale, fold. Step back to the top of a plank pose. Take a vinyasa if you would like. In your downward facing dog, take a very deep inhalation and a very full exhale. Inhale, left leg extends up and back behind you. And then on the exhale, place your foot between your hands. Make your way into warrior two, left side. Straighten the left leg, coming into goddess pose. Toes are in and then heels are in, sit low. Begin to straighten your legs. Warrior two to the right. Straighten your legs, come back to your goddess pose. Heels are slightly in. Get low. And then transition back to warrior two to the left. 2 times, warrior two to Artachendrasana. Move when you're ready. Once you're back in your warrior two, inhale, sweep towards the front of the room, pivot into the ball of your back foot. So you're in a high lunge. Tap your hands down to the mat. We move toward a supported warrior three. So press forward just like you did before. On an exhale, let your hands support you. You've also got blocks if you like them. Right leg lifts. Always an option to take a full warrior 3 if you'd like. But what you want to think about right here is really just finding lots and lots of length through the left leg, lifting up to the inside of your right thigh. And then we're going to turn it on its head. Little bend through your left knee. You're pulling your right knee up until your thigh is parallel to the ground. Hands to your hips for balance. Option to stay just right here. Or these fingers of the right hand for wrap around the big toe. Thumb to the big toenail. Pull your knee up. Find your stability. Stay here or continue forward. Right leg is out. And then if you'd like to continue forward, rotate your femur to the right and then move your entire leg over to the right as well. And then maybe look beyond your left shoulder. And then take your rewind back, whatever options you've taken, noting every place. And eventually standing down, shifting the weight to the right leg, letting blood flow. Coming back to center, hands to your heart, eyes opened or closed, re-engage here. Eyes opened or closed, inhale, lift up your hands, send your chin upward. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, Arta Uttanasana. Exhale, Uttanasana. Palankasana. Chaturanga Dandasana. Bhujangasana. Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. And then exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Long deep breaths. And then inhale, bend your knees, look towards the top of your mat. And on an exhale, step or hop all the way to the top. Forward fold, inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. In any way you'd like to get there, come all the way up to standing. And then bring your hands back to your heart center. We're going to take tree pose, once on either side. Shift the weight to the left leg. Step up onto your right, ball of your right foot, bring your right knee out to the side. And then choose your variation of the pose. Bring up your leg, bypass the knee, come to your thigh. Or if you'd really like, you could also take a half lotus pose if that's in your practice. Once you have found your stability, whatever your balance is today, I invite you to challenge it by taking another option with your hands, whether it is to stay here, allow your branches to grow, take a reverse prayer. Perhaps take something that's asymmetrical. What are you feeling? Feel free to move as you're ready. Does it feel appropriate for your eyes to close or to send your gaze upward? And then as you're ready, there's no rush. Begin to rewind your posture all the way back. Eventually taking your right knee towards the front of the room. Stand down, again, shift the weight to the right leg. Offer yourself some relief, and then come back to center. And then when you're ready, move to the other side. And then as you choose this posture, perhaps you've chosen a different arm variation than the side before. This is up to you. Experience your posture and not what you anticipate others to experience it. What does it mean for you to bring everything into your midline as you squeeze your foot into thigh and thigh into foot and knit your ribs together as you lift up? And then begin that rewinding path back, eventually coming down to stand. Either hands at your heart center or arms alongside your body. With your eyes opened or closed, inhale. Send your chin up, arms lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold again. Make your way back to downward facing dog. Take a vinyasa if you like. From your downward facing dog, inhale, right leg comes up and back. On an exhale, take your knee to your right elbow so you can place your foot to the outside of your right hand. You want to make sure that your knees over your ankles. So if you'd like to use your hand to guide your leg up, please do that. Make sure your toes are slightly out to the right. We're going to take a lizard pose here. You always have the option to take your left knee down. I am going to choose to keep my left knee up. Reach your heart forward, look forward. Imagine like when we are taking those hip dips. And then when you're ready on an exhale, begin to bend your elbows slightly. Come onto your blocks or bring your forearms all the way down to the mat. Left forearm first and then right. Press down through the big toe mound of your right foot, little toe mound, and the center of your heel. Start to press your hands back up if you came all the way down to your forearms. And then step your right foot back to meet your left. Press up and back to downward facing dog. 3 breaths here in down dog. And then inhale, left leg lifts up and back. Take your knee to your left elbow and then place your foot to the outside of your left hand again. Toes slightly out. And if you dropped your right knee on the first side, then I invite you to do the same. If you kept it lifted, please find the same here. Reach your heart forward, shoulder blades back, give yourself space. And then exhale. Utilize that space, fitting your elbows, coming down to forearms, onto block or all the way to your mat. And then begin to press your hands up. Come off the blocks if you use them. Step your left foot back to meet the other, and then press up and back to downward facing dog. On an inhale, lift your right leg up toward the ceiling. Take your knee to your right elbow again, but this time drop it down to your wrist. We're going to move into pigeon pose. So start to pivot your right ankle over to the left. So you've got an angled thigh, angled shin, that is. Walk your left leg back. Take a look over your left shoulder to make sure you've got a straight line here and your toes and heel aren't sickling in opposite directions. Scissor your thighs together. You might find you lift up a little bit. Maybe take your hands alongside your body, lift your chest up. And then as you're ready on an exhale, begin to come forward to your expression of pigeon. If pigeon is not working for you today, then I invite you to come onto your back and take a figure 4 posture instead. Start to press your way up From your pigeon pose, press your hands into the mat and then drop your hips over to the right. You're going to swing your left leg around to come to a Chandrasana, so right foot into left thigh. Adjust the skin of your thighs, your bum as you need. Inhale, lift up your arms, pivot your chest over your thigh, and then reach for your foot. So let your hands drop wherever they do, whether it's your calf, thigh, or foot. Inhale, lift up halfway, and then exhale, deepen your posture, reaching chin towards shin. Also pressing the right knee down and back. This will also help you as you move forward. When you're ready, inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale, come all the way up. Cross your ankles, roll over your hands and knees, come back to downward facing dog. Feel free to take a vinyasa between sides if that works for you. And then as you're ready, no rush. Inhale, left leg comes up and back. And on an exhale, you come into pigeon on the left side, knee towards your left wrist, and then pivoting your shin towards the right. Make sure your left knee also is to the outside of your left hip, and it's not just pointing straight ahead. This is going to help with balancing and a way to explore the expression of this pose. Look over your right shoulder. And again, scissor your thighs together. Give yourself a little bit of lift and a little bit of strength here. Perhaps bring your hands back. And then as you're ready, exhale. Come down to your expression of pigeon. Start to press your way back up. And then gently drop your hips over to the left. And take your right leg out in front of you for Chandrasana to the right. Create space with an inhale. Lift up both arms and then pivot over to the right. Take your hands, reaching them toward your feet, letting them land wherever they do. And then deepen the posture as you are ready. Press your left knee down and back. Inhale to lift up halfway. And then break your posture on an exhale. Roll over your hands and knees, crossing your ankles. And you can take a vinyasa if you'd like. We'll meet in downward facing dog. On an inhale, come to your toes, roll to the top of a plank pose. And on an exhale, lower yourself all the way down to your mat. Flip on your back like a pancake. Just flop over. And we are going to take either a supported fish pose or a fish pose. So if you're going to take a supported fish pose, I'm going to let you know how to do this. Lift yourself up a bit, grab your block, and you're going to place it up towards probably the top quarter of your mat. You're going to drape your upper body over it. Make sure that it is further down enough that when you come back, your shoulder blades are free. And if you were to shimmy your shoulders, you can like pop into the block of it and drop your head back. If this is uncomfortable for you, then, and again, the difference between sensation and feeling and pain is a subtle one. And to learn that distinction is important. So if you're feeling pain, then either place a block underneath your head so you can elevate, or completely remove the block from underneath you. And I'll instruct you how to come into fish. So those of you supported fish, again, if this is comfortable, you can extend your legs out in front of you. If you plan on taking a more traditional fish pose instead, You're on your back. Your hands are underneath your hips, underneath your bum, fingertips spread wide, index fingers touching and thumbs touching. And you're going to shrug your shoulders underneath you. Your legs are together. Press into your forearms, lift your chest up, reach up, and then drift your head back, perhaps even to press into the mat. Choose the variation of the pose you would like to take. If you are in the fish pose, begin to come out of this pose, press into your forearms. Allow your chest to drop back as you lift your head up, come all the way onto your back. You are in supported fish. Bring your elbows close into you. Press into the mat, engage your core as you lift up just enough so you can slide the block away from you. And then come back onto your back. Make sure that your shoulder blades come underneath. You've got broadness across your collarbones and arms alongside your body. Witness the difference before and after fish. Welcome the feeling. Explore the feeling. Pull your right knee into your chest and then draw your knee across your body. Supine twist, maybe even send your gaze over to the right. Bring your head and knee back to center, extend right leg out, pull left knee in towards you, and then twist in the opposite direction. Bring your head and knee back to center. Pull both knees into your chest, wrap your hands to your shins. Bring your forehead up towards your shins, your forehead up towards your knees. Give yourself an embrace, recognizing the feeling that you have allowed yourself to explore. Offering this practice to yourself. And when you're ready, release down. The final posture of this class is Shavasana. If you would prefer to take Shavasana in a different variation, such as the Supta Baddha Konasana, then begin to move toward that pose, ending as we began. Begin to draw in a deeper inhalation and witness the letting go. Start to make some small movements in your body, and eventually, about as much time as you need, you roll over onto your right side, pausing for several moments, and then ultimately making your way to a seated posture of your choice for a very brief reflection and meditation. On an inhale, bring your arms out now. Palms press above you, and on an exhale, take your thumbs to the space between your eyebrows for clarity of thought, to your lips for clarity of speech, to your heart for clarity of action, bow your head to your heart. Symbol of honor, humility, and gratitude. Thanking yourself for this opportunity to explore, to allow yourself to feel, and knowing that this is something that you can evoke at any time that you like. Thank you so much for sharing your practice with me. In the name of the highest good, namaste.